Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at some incredibly fun battles in the Master League Premier Cup, featuring a perfect IV Shadow Electivire. These battles were submitted to the channel by a member of the community, so many thanks for the battle submission. Electivire is a pure electric type Pokemon with the moveset of Thundershock, Ice Punch, and Wild Charge, and this trainer runs a double electric team with Magnezone. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and check out Shadow Electivire in action in the Master League Premier Cup. Picking up a great lead in the first match, Gyarados into Heracross. Opponent is going to immediately save switch into Florges. Gyarados staying into Bank move, and then is going to bring in Magnezone. Magnezone does resist every charge move from Florges here, but Moonblast is still going to hit quite hard. Magnezone definitely not the tankiest Pokemon around. Florges able to reach a second Moonblast, and Magnezone is forced to commit the first shield. Magnezone does have a ton of energy though. They're going for the Mirror Shot. Mirror Shot does get Florges low. Magnezone going for the farm down. They don't get there, and they're forced to commit the second shield. So they've managed to keep switch advantage, but being down 2 shields is a scary spot to be. Back in comes Heracross. Magnezone able to connect with the Wild Charge, and then an aggressive switch back into Gyarados going for the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail does get the shield from Heracross, and then there's a Waterfall Milotic in the back. This is still a pretty decent matchup for Gyarados. Gyarados is going to be able to reach the Outrage. This will do a solid chunk of damage if it lands, and the opponent gives up the final shield. And that is a really good sign if you have 2 Wild Charge users in the back. Milotic going for the Blizzard, taking out the Gyarados, and now it is Shadow Electivire time. Electivire charging incredibly quickly and reaches the Wild Charge. Wild Charge taking out Milotic. Back in comes Heracross looking for the farm down. They won't get there. Electivire reaches Wild Charge number 2, taking care of that Heracross, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, putting Gyarados into Excadrill. This is a great lead. Gyarados has Waterfall, which is going to hit for massive super effective damage. Opponent save switches into a Dragon Breath Gyarados, and they're going to be met with the Shadow Electivire. These Thundershocks are absolutely tearing through the Gyarados, but Electivire is taking a lot of damage as well. Electivire farming up and able to reach the back-to-back Wild Charges. Wild Charge number 1 goes unshielded, and they're able to keep switch. And this Electivire does have a lot of leftover energy, which is very nice. Back in comes Exca to farm down, but they're going to be able to reach back-to-back Ice Punches, which should do quite a lot of damage onto Excadrill, and able to grab a shield. That is quite nice. Second Ice Punch should go unshielded, but as you can see, does about 50% of Excadrill's health. Back in comes the Gyarados, able to get a Waterfall through, but this Rock Slide will hurt. Tanks the Rock Slide, and it's Shadow Machamp back, and this is absolutely terrible because this Magnezone has nowhere to run. Able to land the Aqua Tail, brings in the Magnezone. Magnezone tries to get to a Mirror Shot, but not quite able to get there. This Cross Chop is going to be taking out the Magnezone, and now it's all on this incredibly low health Gyarados. Gyarados does get a Waterfall through. That is massive. This Waterfall should be taking out the Machamp. Back in comes the Excadrill, and going for the Aqua Tail, needing that 1 HP of damage that it does. Able to farm down, and that is a good game. Picking up a pretty neutral lead in the next match, Gyarados into Togekiss. Going to be staying in. Opponent goes for a catch onto a Tangrowth. The Battle of Spice, you love to see it. Going for the Outrage. Outrage, big damage onto the Tangrowth, and then brings in the Shadow Electivire. Shadow Electivire should be able to tank any one move here, but that Power Whip does a lot of damage. Electivire is going to be able to reach an Ice Punch, and this will KO if they decide to let it through. Does get the shield from Tangrowth. Tangrowth tries to farm down, but Shadow Electivire able to get to a second Ice Punch and grabs the second shield. From here, you can probably get a nice farm on Magnezone. Magnezone, not the tankiest Pokemon in the Master League, but should be able to tank at least one move. Tanks the Power Whip, and now going to be going for the Mirror Shot. This Mirror Shot should be taking care of the Tangrowth, and then we'll have to see what they have in the back. And they bring back in the Togekiss, so they must be incredibly weak to Magnezone in the back. So at this point, you probably just farm up to the back-to-back Wild Charges, and you're in a very good spot here. Actually going for the Mirror Shot instead. Mirror Shot will not quite KO from this range. Mirror Shot, and then the Snipe with Gyarados. and it is their own Gyarados in the back, so it makes quite a bit of sense why they were so scared of that Magnezone. Going to be able to reach the Outrage. Outrage does not one-shot here, but it does quite a lot, and at this point, even if they farm down, it does not matter because Magnezone has the Wild Charge loaded. Magnezone shields up the Aqua Tail and is able to get off the Wild Charge. Wild Charge easily enough to take out the low health Gyarados, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, sending Gyarados into Machamp. This is a generally favorable lead, but Gyarados does of course have to watch out for a potential Rock Slide. These waterfalls are really adding up on Machamp. Gyarados going for the Aqua Tail and able to grab a shield. This is more than enough for a Rock Slide. Gyarados calls the bait, and it's a Cross Chop bait. An absolutely incredible read. Going to commit the shield on the second move, and this one does end up being the Rock Slide. Gyarados farming up, safe switches into the Shadow Electivire, and baits out Garchomp. But this Garchomp has a nasty surprise waiting for it. Ice Punch, big damage onto the Garchomp. Electivire almost able to get to a second, and Garchomp is forced to throw. Garchomp goes for the Earth Power, more than enough to take out Electivire, but this Gyarados has a ton of energy. Gyarados going for the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail is going to take out the Garchomp, and the opponent has Metagross in the back. This is definitely one situation where having Crunch would be nice, but the Waterfalls plus the Aqua Tails are still going to add up. Going for the Aqua Tail, and this will be getting that Metagross quite low. We may see them commit the final shield, and they do. Gyarados farming up and forcing the Metagross to throw. And at this point, the Magnezone's in a very good position to close out the match. In comes the Magnezone. Magnezone going for the Mirror Shot, but they end up losing CMP. This could be rough. Thankfully, that Machamp is basically 1 HP. Going to go for the Mirror Shot. Mirror Shot doesn't quite KO, and the Machamp has a move. The question is, can Magnezone tank the Cross Chop? Magnezone does tank the Cross Chop and is able to farm down both Pokemon, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, splitting Gyarados into Togekiss. Opponent is going to immediately safe switch into Shadow Snorlax, and doesn't really have a great response to a Snorlax safe switch, so just gonna stay in with the Gyarados and go for the Aqua Tail. Aqua Tail does some nice damage, and now it is Shadow Electivire time. But this Snorlax has a big energy lead. Body Slam, big damage onto the Electivire, and they're able to reach a second, which is going to force that shield from Electivire. Electivire, undeterred, able to farm up and reach back-to-back charge moves. This Ice Punch is barely not going to KO, but they should be able to farm down and still leave with a Wild Charge for the Togekiss. So at the very least, Electivire is getting the shield back. Togekiss will commit the shield, but now, since he's one switch advantage, he can very safely pair the Magnezone onto the Togekiss, and Magnezone has a dominating matchup. Magnezone farming up quite a bit, maybe looking to go to the back-to-back, and Togekiss throws. I believe they're one short of a Flamethrower here. It's just an Ancient Power, a bit unfortunate to shield, and now going to fire off those back-to-back Wild Charges. Wild Charge goes unshielded, and it's Gyarados in the back. Gyarados is a perfect Pokemon to see if you're running Magnezone, but these Waterfalls are doing big damage with the lower defense. Gets the shield with the Wild Charge, and then brings in their own Gyarados. This is tough. Shields are down. Crunch will do a solid amount of damage. Just has to try and get to the Outrage. Gets there, but loses CMP. And you just have to hope that the Magnezone has a Wild Charge banked. Aqua Tail KOs. It does have a Wild Charge banked. Magnezone on very low HP. Taking down the Gyarados. And that is a good game. Picking up a terrible lead in the next match, Gyarados into Primarina. Immediately save switches into Shadow Electivire, and they're going to be met with Excadrill. This is not a great matchup for Electivire, but baiting out Excadrill should hopefully free up Magnezone to be a closer in the endgame. Exca is going to be able to outpace, and at this point, Electivire has done its job. It has baited out the Excadrill, and now it sets up Gyarados for a farm down. Gyarados is going to have to tank a Rock Slide to do so, but then going to be able to farm down, and with Excadrill out of the way, hopefully Magnezone can close out this game. Going for the Aqua Tail just to get a little bit of chip damage, and now it's all up to Magnezone. In comes Magnezone, and it's a Metagross in the back. And this is a pretty nice matchup in the 2-shield if you're the Magnezone. Magnezone going straight for the Wild Charge. It connects and does big damage onto the Metagross. Metagross can just go straight Meteor Mash now that the defense has been lowered, but in the 2-shield, this is a very nice spot to be if you are the Magnezone. Magnezone is going to be going for the Mirror Shot bait. Mirror Shot does get the shield, and going for Mirror Shot number 2. This Metagross is very low. This Mirror Shot might KO. It barely does not, and they're just not able to farm down. Going to have to commit that final shield, which is a little rough. Back in comes Primarina. Primarina, these charms really adding up, banking a bunch of energy and bringing in the Gyarados. Primarina can't farm down as they're able to reach an Aqua Tail, and this should be game over because Magnezone does win CMP over Primarina. Back in comes Magnezone, able to reach the Wild Charge. Wild Charge taking care of the Primarina, and that is a good game. Hopping into the next match, leading Gyarados into Metagross. This is a very, very nice lead for the Gyarados, and the Metagross is staying in, which means that the opponent could very well be weak to Gyarados in the back as well. Gyarados farming up a ton, and Metagross is going for a move. Meteor Mash not going to do a whole lot here. They tank it, they save switch into Shadow Electivire, and they bait out Excadrill. So it makes sense why the opponent was not swapping if they had Excadrill in the back as well. Ice Punch is actually able to get a shield from the Excadrill and able to reach Ice Punch number 2. This should be getting that Excadrill to about half health. Exca is going to farm up to the back-to-back charge moves and then fire off the Drill Run. Drill Run will, of course, KO, and unfortunately, Excadrill is able to win CMP over Gyarados. So we'll be able to get that shield back, and then Gyarados is going to be able to take them out with the Aqua Tail. Going to try and undercharge the Aqua Tail, and they're able to get an extra waterfall, a very nice undercharge. And the final Pokemon is Conkeldurr, and this is a scary thing to see with a Magnezone in the back, as Conkeldurr is extremely tanky. Trying for another Aqua Tail, able to get there, but if Conkeldurr realizes that they're weak in shields, this could be rough, and they do exactly that. Going to bring in the Magnezone. Magnezone will have to respect the Dynamic Punch. Magnezone farming up, trying to go for the Mirror Shot, but the opponent catches onto the Metagross, and I think that is going to be game over. A beautiful catch by the opponent. Metagross is able to reach a move, and this will be game. Earthquake taking out the Magnezone and the Gyarados. Picking up a nightmare lead in the final match, Gyarados into Magnezone. Staying in this lead to start, goes for the Wild Charge catch, opponent holds onto their energy, farms up, and is now going to throw. Shadow Electivire should tank a Wild Charge, that does big damage, they're farming up, but Magnezone is able to reach a second charge move. They will commit the shield, it only ends up being a Mirror Shot, and then the opponent brings in Togekiss. Electivire will get the shield back here with the Wild Charge, but the Togekiss doesn't respect it, and they get one shot. Opponent brings back in Magnezone, but Electivire is not done. Going for another Wild Charge. Wild Charge does get the shield, and Magnezone farms down. And now it is the Magnezone mirror. Farming up, bringing back in the Gyarados, and going to be going for the Aqua Tail. This should be forcing that final shield. That Magnezone is very low. Magnezone farming up a ton of energy, but the waterfall goes through. They're going to shield. This should KO the Magnezone. Mirror Shot shielded. It takes out the Magnezone, and it is a Gyarados in back. Going to be going for the Outrage. We've seen this do big damage onto the opposing Gyarados before. It connects, and that is a good game. All in all, some incredibly fun battles featuring perfect IV Shadow Electivire in the Master League Premier Cup. While it is definitely a glass cannon, it can output some truly incredible amounts of damage, making it, I imagine, a very fun Pokemon to use and a very fun Pokemon to watch in action. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you, as always, to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely incredible. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.